boys and girls, welcome to this special Holy Week / Easter episode of Pastors of Pain. I am so glad that you have joined us. I'm Father Brian O'Brien, pastor of St. Francis Xavier Catholic Church here in Stillwater. This is coming out as a podcast on Good Friday. This is airing on the radio on Easter Sunday.
Yay.
Now, you'd think that Father Carey would show up, this being a special episode. Number one, it's our 202nd episode, and that it's also Easter. Nevertheless, he is nowhere to be found. He actually, I forget. Anyway, he's not here. He had a meeting, and anyway, it just works out that way. But better than Father Carey will ever be is today's special guest. This is an episode for the moms.
For the moms.
I would like to introduce Reagan Caldwell.
I am very happy to be
Yes,
here.
Reagan Caldwell. So Reagan, that name might be familiar to you because Reagan's husband Clayton has been on numerous times.
Yes,
but Reagan has never been on. What the heck?
Yep.
Why is that?
I don't know. Clayton's good at talking about anything and everything.
You're good at talking about things.
Maybe not as good as him.
Has he been on other podcasts?
I don't think so.
Is he cheating on us?
No, I don't think he has.
Okay.
Just this one.
Just this one?
A couple times.
Huh. Anyway, Reagan is awesome, and so we're gonna learn a little bit about Reagan right now. Are we ready? Are you ready, Payne County?
Wow.
Okay. So Reagan, how did you get to Stillwater? Give us a little background because it's fascinating. Okay, ready, go.
Well, thanks for having me.
You're very welcome.
This is my first podcast ever. Ever. Never been on a podcast.
Amazing.
Pretty crazy. So Clayton and I ended up in Stillwater in 2019 in August because we both graduated from A&M. He was a missionary at K-State for a year while I was finishing my 5th year of school, and then I became a first-year missionary, and we came here together as Focus missionaries.
I remember. What a day.
What a day. We were engaged. We got married.
Oh, that's right. You were engaged and then got married like halfway
December.
through your first
Correct.
year.
December 2019, December 14th. So we moved here, and I was first year missionary. He was my team director, and he was a first time team director.
Your fiance was your boss.
My fiance was my boss. And
awkward.
then we got married, and it was
Then your
grand.
then your husband was your boss.
Yes.
Ew. It's kind of weird.
Kind of weird.
Then, so you were a Focus missionary. So that was what, the 2019-2020 school year. Then 2021 or 2020-2021.
Yep, that was last year.
And then this year, what is your status? I mean, you are because you have a baby.
I have a child.
His name is Joseph.
His name is Joseph.
He's 20 months old.
19.
Oh, 19 months old.
Yeah, close.
We were debating before the show started of at what point do you stop counting the months?
I don't know. I feel like moms would say to other moms, like, oh, he's 23 months.
Moms,
but to other people.
What do you say?
I don't know.
I figured it out real quick that I'm 558 months old.
Wow.
I'm going to start
you just tell people that.
Describing myself that way.
Yeah.
Or my mom should describe me that way. Oh, I have a son. He's 558 months.
No one would be able to calculate how old that really is.
Get funny looks. Yeah. Okay, so you have a son who's 19 months.
Yes.
And then you are with child.
I am with child, and I'm due on the 18th.
Wow.
I know. I'm like, what day is it? I don't even know.
So Easter, that's going to be at least
Easter Monday.
Easter season. Oh, that's Easter. Oh, because Easter's the 17th.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
It's going to be
You could have a baby
exciting.
during the octave of Easter.
Yes.
Or on Easter.
Yeah.
Or Holy Saturday.
Any of it.
By the time this airs, the baby could be born.
Baby could be here. I know. I was just thinking that.
That is
crazy.
wild.
And I'm really excited. I really want him to come.
Wow.
I want him to be out of me.
Boy or girl, we know.
It's a boy.
It's a boy.
I'm a boy mom.
Wow. 2 boys.
2 boys.
And everyone, I'm sure, asks you, like, you have names or you don't have a name?
We have a name, but we're waiting to share.
Waiting. Okay, don't share. Don't share. I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know.
You'll know soon.
DeMarcus's real... No.
Yeah.
I'm making up names of great...
Probably Carrie calls him...
Moses the Black.
Moses the Black. There's another weird saint name that he calls him. It's totally not his name.
That's awesome.
A classic.
So I would like for this episode to be for the moms,
for the moms.
Because Father
It's
Carey
good.
and I mean, we're two priests, we're men. We talk about life in the parish and life as priests. And I know we have a lot of moms that listen.
Yeah.
A lot of young moms and moms to be.
Right.
Moms whose kids are like my mom, whose kids are all grown. I'm the youngest. I'm 558 months, and I'm the youngest in my family. And then we also have moms who, like you have, maybe young children or
Yes.
teenagers.
Yes.
Or maybe are single and, want feel
to
the
be moms
feel the
one day.
feel the vocation of
Right.
marriage and motherhood and
I'm a rookie mom, just saying. I'm totally not a veteran mom for anybody who's listening.
what's like your number one mom mistake that you've made
Oh.
in 19 months where you've been like, okay, we are not doing that with baby number 2?
This, I don't know. The first thing that came to
This
mind.
is like an expose of Reagan and
Yeah.
Clayton's parenting.
The first thing that came to mind, which this is totally kind of a hot topic for moms these days, but is
Let's get into it. This show's all about controversy.
I don't even know. It's a whole thing. Joseph still is not sleeping through the night fully.
wow.
And that has been tough.
I would imagine.
And there's lots of different techniques and methods and strategies for trying to get your child to sleep through the night that people have lots of opinions on.
Ignore him.
And there's lots.
Is that one?
That's one.
That's what I would do.
There's lots of them.
Might be why I don't.
We've tried lots of different things. And I mean, it's not like, I don't necessarily think it's like, it was a grave mistake, we'll never do it again. But we definitely will change our method this time for the next baby, because he might never sleep through the night until he's 6. I don't know.
He's gonna be 28 and
He's going to be waking up forever.
still.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Does that happen to a lot of babies, or is your baby extra
I
special?
think so. No, I mean, I don't think Joseph is generally a great sleeper, and some babies just are better sleepers from the get-go. And he was never that way. And I think I just think the whole sleeping through the night thing, I've found that lots of moms wrestle with all the different methods of like sleep training or not sleep training.
Where are these methods obtained? These are like books and websites.
Books, blogs. Social media has millions of pages on different websites, like different.
What's like the worst parenting advice you've received?
Ooh.
Like someone who you're just like, you are so dumb. I cannot believe you just said that.
Honestly, all of the things that I've thought that about are people telling me like, oh yeah, just wait like 3 more years to have your next one. Or like people who, when we got married, they were like, oh, so you're gonna wait like a while, and I'm like, no, we're
not
pregnant.
really. Oh, you
again.
already were, yeah.
Or like stuff like that. That was the only thing that I had a lot of moms, like a lot of people tell me that, and I understand where they're coming from, but it was the kind of advice, and I'm like, don't know how to respond because we're not taking that advice at all.
So I was the other day. I was with a family, and she's pregnant, and we were around like some college students, and a college student who will remain nameless walked up to this mom who is pregnant and due within weeks, and said, "Wow, you are super pregnant."
Oh no! Come on.
So that's one. What would be other examples for the men, for our male listeners? What would be things to not say either to someone who is pregnant, as you are, or to like a new mom?
Well, I'm trying to think.
Offensive or dumb? What don't you say?
Yeah, definitely the comments about being huge. Like people are like,
what is that?
Wow, you are so big. And what they're trying to say is like,
that's so funny.
You're pregnant. Like that's exciting. It's not like
they're
a
like
diss.
complimenting you.
They're complimenting
but
me,
not really.
but it's like, I don't want to be told I look huge.
Yeah.
No woman wants to be told they look huge, But I know what you're saying, and it doesn't actually offend me, but I'm just like, you just gotta know you don't say that to a woman ever.
Yes.
I also just think that a lot of moms will have great intentions, they're well-meaning, but then they'll just tell you what you should do with your child.
Well, like,
all the time.
you're not going to have another.
You're not gonna,
you're not gonna have a
like, you're
child
gonna wait a
immediately.
lot, and that's fine if people do. But I didn't want to do we got pregnant
Right.
quickly when Joseph was however many months, 10. months old. And so, I don't know. I just think there's this like, it's just the mom that wants to take care of other moms, and I get that. But then
A lot of advice.
lots of advice, and I love the advice. I like want to receive it, but I think when there's this like tone of like, oh yeah, you have to do this or else you're crazy. I'm like, okay,
But yeah, that's how you
But,
did. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
that's not how I'm gonna do it, and that's okay. I respect you, but I'm gonna do it differently.
And then when you, so in a few weeks here, you're going to have a 20-month-old and a baby.
Correct.
My guess is people are going to say things like, "What are you not looking like? What ought people not say to?"
Yeah.
You know, you're at the store
Yeah.
and you have Joseph who can walk and
Yeah.
moves around pretty good and talks a lot and
Yep.
a baby, and people are going to say,
People will look shocked, and they'll like think I'm really overwhelmed, or like try. I don't know.
and you might be.
And I might be, but
Yeah.
but the response is like, that's like you can just sense. People don't usually say anything, but there you can sense when someone is
Judgment.
looking at, like, I'll have some older women come up to the store and like really encourage me and tell me like, oh yeah, I had 6 babies like back to back, and this is amazing what you're doing. Like, I know it's like I've had people at the store with even just
And that's
Joseph, and that's really
Yeah.
awesome because you as a young mom are like, thank you, you know what I'm experiencing, but then
Yeah.
other people, they don't usually say anything. I can just sense the glares and I can sense the like, yikes, like you don't look, this must not be fun. And I'm like, I don't hate my life. I'm just at the store with 2 kids and it's a little difficult, but I love being a mom. There's just this like
Yeah.
sense of judgment or
Yeah,
like,
that children are not. I mean, I think sometimes in our world today, especially, there can be the sort of children are burdens.
Yes. Yeah.
And now is raising children difficult? Yeah.
Yeah, right.
But are they
Right. Burdens.
burdens or
Inconvenience and ruin your dreams. No.
and you hear that
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Well, I also it's funny too because when I was pregnant with Joseph, I feel like a lot of people treat pregnant women generally well. Like people hold doors for you, or they'll help you if
Sure.
you need to pick something up. Or, I mean, especially like at St. John's, like people just try to help me and take care of things for me and stuff. But there's something different with having 2. Like I feel like the responses I've gotten, them being so close together, especially like people just
Are
think
less helpful?
Not that they're less helpful, but it's not the same like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. It's like, I even have had people tell me, and it kind of feels this way too, like once you have more than one, it's like becoming a real family. Like you are a real family with just one, but then you have 2 and it's like, you're in this.
Yeah,
like,
now it's on.
You have 2 kids under 2, and it's this like, it just gets more real. There's more, I don't know. It's not that people are less helpful, but it's just a different kind of helpful, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get it.
You know what I mean?
There's a comedian named Jim Gaffigan who has 5 kids, and
Yes.
he makes this hilarious joke where he says, having 5 kids is like,
I think I've heard this.
yeah, pretend you're drowning,
Yeah.
and then someone hands you a kid. Like,
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
that can, it's a lot.
It is.
It's a lot.
Totally.
All right, so those are some things not to say. No comments on appearance. What about people touching you? Like touch.
I don't mind it.
What is the
Some people get really freaked out by it, and I don't mind. I'm like, sure.
But you should
There's a
probably
baby in
ask,
there.
right?
Yeah.
Like if a stranger just started touching your belly.
Yeah, I guess I don't have a lot of strangers trying to touch
good.
my belly.
People you know.
People I know.
Okay.
And it's totally
I'd
fine
still
with me.
ask.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
You and Clayton are regular mass goers.
Correct.
So certainly on Sundays, and then you guys go
We go to
a
daily
fair
mass.
amount during the week,
Yes.
if not every day.
Mm-hmm.
What is that like? Tell from your experience, and then I want you to help other people help young families
Yeah.
go to mass. What's been your experience of a 19-month-old at mass?
Okay, I have like no advice for how to take a 19-month-old to
You just
mass
do
because
it.
it's just hard for us
just
still.
do it.
See, I actually am like gonna call Rose Cabine and be like, how do I take my 20-month-old to mass?
Yeah.
What are your tips and
Yeah.
tricks? But yeah, definitely we have had, Joseph is just a busy boy. He's active.
He moves.
And he moves around. He likes to talk. He would prefer to run around for hours and hours and hours than sit still and read a book. And I have some friends who have young girls that are toddlers, and it's very different for them at Mass. They can stay in the pew and play in the pew or read a book, and it's totally fine. But Joseph is he's really busy and he's really active. And so going to Mass for us has been more of a challenge to, navigate trying to get him to be quiet or stay in the pew or and it's been very seasonal. Like, it just changes. When he starts crawling, that's one phase of going to Mass. Then he starts walking, and that's a whole other phase. So then he's like, it's a new skill, and he wants to like run around. But now he's 18 months old, and he knows how to go to Mass. But then he'll sit in the pew for maybe half the time and do some activities.
Mass is an hour
and stuff. Yeah,
and you're there a few minutes early. Stay,
Right. Yeah.
So it's probably, an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes.
It is
all in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Time in the car.
Right.
Get there.
Typically, by the time it is the homily or the Eucharistic prayers, like, he's trying to run to the back and one of us is going back, and we're kind of switching
preaching.
Back and forth because Father Carey, how that goes.
He gets a little animated.
Yes, he does.
And so then in a few weeks, there'll be
another one
too, but one in a
yeah. Hopefully one
what's
will
the
be
thing called?
sleeping, an infant carrier.
In a carrier. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I think we've experienced lots of different things at Mass. Like, some people we've had people come up and say, I will hold your baby for you and you can go in there and you can pray. Or like our teammates.
And you like that or no?
Sometimes I do. Now that he's getting older, I prefer to try to get him to come back to the pew as much as possible when he wants to run around.
Yep.
So I don't necessarily want to. But when he was younger and he didn't know what was going on at all and he couldn't really learn that, that was really helpful and I loved that. And when he was being particularly difficult and he was 11 or 12 months old, and our teammate would come and hold him for us so that we can pray after communion for 3 minutes together, for literally half a second. I mean, those things meant a lot to me. It changes season to season, but I think something that has been challenging for us being at one St. John's, which is all students. We are literally the only family with
not a lot of babies.
There's no
at the
babies.
College Mass.
There's one other baby, but usually the Mass we go to, we're the only, and it's just very quiet and like any peep you can hear. And so Joseph will like drink from his water and the whole church can hear his water bottle or his goldfish or something. And then, just different experiences going to different parishes where I think something that's hard is when Joseph will make a noise or he'll do something and like 5 people like look at us, and it's not necessarily a judgmental look, but there's just the looking at us. I'm like, I'm sorry, but he's 18
That's
months
something
old.
I try to tell people.
Yeah.
Like in seminary, we called it like kind of custody of the eyes, and like when whatever you're doing, like focus,
right.
And so if you're like as a priest, if I'm celebrating Mass, but I'm looking around the whole time, that's weird,
right,
and it weirds people out.
Right.
Like why is he looking around during the readings? Like whatever's happening, you focus on that.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times I think people, so a kid, drops a book, yells.
Right.
I find it like the new St. Francis, like a child's voice,
really
they'll
carries
yell, they yell,
the
they hear their voice, and then they're like,
oh
wow, and then they do it again and again.
Yeah.
And so when people look, like if you are gonna look and smile,
yeah.
look and like
a thumbs up would be awesome.
Because when people look, there's I always tell like young families, like your child is loudest to you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, is your child
That's
loud?
That's honestly very true.
Sure, but like,
right.
you think your child is louder than they are.
And I've never had anybody tell me that Joseph is being too much or too loud. People are generally people love it. People say they love it, you know. But when I'm in there and people look at me, I get stressed because I feel like I'm distracting and burdening people. People don't actually feel that way, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And you know what? Actually, you tell me all the time, like, a healthy church is a church where there's crying babies.
That's right. If we're not crying, we're dying.
Yes. I love when you say that because I have friends who have had really, really terrible experiences with parish priests.
Yeah, with priests,
who are
will kind of stare them down.
Encouraging.
Or,
yes.
I mean, I've heard stories where, the priest in the middle of the homily, is like, excuse me.
That happened to a friend.
pointing out,
Yep.
you know, can you take your child out, as if like
That's sad.
what I'm about to say here is so important.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, and what happens there? I mean, hopefully they have like a strong and deep faith and
Yes.
can like put up with stupid stuff like that. But like a lot of people, they'll never.
Oh, of course,
they'll
people
never
wouldn't want to come back. Yeah. Yeah.
Or they'll
That's
go
why-
somewhere where they are.
Yeah. That's why
Yeah.
you and Father Carey have made Clayton and I feel very comfortable
Good.
bringing Joseph. But it's definitely hard. But you're right. It's more, I think about it probably more than other people do at Mass. But it's still worth it. And I know some people who they send their toddlers to Mass so that they can, or they send their toddlers to the nursery if
Yep.
the church has a nursery so that they can
Yep.
be with their older children and teach them about the Mass. And I think there's just different seasons with kids who are all different ages, from being babies crawling around to being 8 years old and having to really learn and being able to pay attention. And honestly, every family does Mass so different.
Yep.
Like people are really
because
strict
you know your
about,
kid. Like,
and you know your kid. Every kid is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
what's your sense on a like back row, front row?
We are totally more of a back row family.
And I think most young
We
families
are.
Yeah.
It just because we were trying to scoot up at one point, and then it felt like me and Clayton were so separate, and it was harder for us to like be switching off, you know. So we're more of a not totally back row, but like backish.
And you're an aisle. You like the aisle.
We like the aisle,
Yeah.
the side aisle.
So that's something that people can do. Like if you come in, you
Yeah.
know, and there's a family with young children, like don't have them scoot in,
right. Yeah,
Because they're probably going to get up,
gonna have to get up.
you know,
yeah,
at some
especially
point
with a toddler.
and move around.
Yep.
So yeah, so that's like some helpful advice
Yep.
for people to,
Yeah,
you know, kind of
just being
help.
aware of families,
Yeah.
particularly with
And
young
smile.
toddlers.
Smile,
and
thumbs up,
babies.
a lot of thumbs up.
Yeah, the encouragement, the
Be
affirmation.
encouraging. Yeah, because it's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard, and it's about to. I mean, get a little harder. I mean, you're gonna. So 2 years from now, you're gonna have
Yeah.
like a 4-year-old
4-year-old
and
and
a
a-
2-year-old.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah, it'll be
Woo.
crazy time. Yeah.
yeah,
Especially 2 boys.
yeah,
It's gonna be
and
a
they'll
time.
be playing off of each other.
Yeah.
and
Yeah. But you know what? A lot of the parishes that we hope to go to in the future, we have heard it's just like a total zoo in those churches. But it's
Yes.
better.
Yeah.
Joseph does so one time when we were at St. Francis for Sunday Mass, there was a family with a boy who was probably 3 sitting right in front of us, quietly like drawing and coloring and playing. And Joseph I was at Mass by myself without Clayton that Sunday, which
Oh.
he was out of town, but Joseph was amazing. It was like his best Mass ever because he saw other children who were behaving
yeah.
that helped him. So,
college
anyways,
students don't have the same effect.
they don't have the same effect. They just want to make him giggle,
They're all.
and they are fine
Oh, do
getting
they make
distracted.
faces? Should people make faces or no? Helpful?
I don't know.
Helpful or not helpful?
Literally this past week, Joseph, there was a bunch of girls sitting behind us, and on his own accord, Joseph just started like just giving kisses
Oh, and
to
I'm
all
sure
of them.
they were
And then they're all dying,
melting.
obviously, and then it makes him want to do it more. Anyways. Yeah, so
That's really hilarious.
it'll rile him up.
Okay, what about kind of being a mom in 2022?
Yeah.
Is that awesome? Is that scary? Is that like what are your kind of hopes and dreams, fears? You know, for your children. Are you optimistic, or are you, I mean, I think a lot of people today are like, no, like I don't want to bring
Right.
a kid into this world.
Totally.
Because everything's so.
Crazy, which it is.
But obviously you are. So like,
Yeah.
what's your?
I think I don't know. I was thinking about this. I've been a couple weeks ago I gave a talk in our women's group at St. John's on motherhood, and then this past week we had another talk that Rose Cabine gave on fertility awareness and
Nice. Yeah,
stuff like
natural
that, just
family
for
planning.
natural
and-
family planning, yeah, stuff like
Yeah.
that for single women to just be aware of those things before they are even engaged. So I've been having lots of conversations with young women about motherhood and family life, which I think is not talked about very often for these young women. But I don't know. I just think we just live in a world and a culture of fear. Everybody is afraid. I feel like everyone is just living in great fear of whatever. Like for each person,
Yep.
the fear that is kind of trying to attack their life is probably different. And I don't know. I feel like there's just an invitation in the life of faith to recognize the things that are really terrible in the world, to like live in the reality of the world that we live in that's not what we want it to be. There's terrible
We are
things happening
fallen.
in the world. We live in
Yeah.
a very, very fallen world. But to fix our eyes on Jesus. Like if we have actually in our hearts, like if our hearts are set on just God himself and our relation to him and what he's called us to, it's like the fear doesn't necessarily just magically go away when we have a life of faith. We just have God to live with us in the midst of the world. Right. Yeah. And it gives meaning to the things that are really hard. Yes. And it gives meaning
even
and
suffering.
Purpose to the suffering of parenthood or the suffering of, just whatever it may be. So I feel like being a mom right now, I don't necessarily, I feel like the only reason I'm not living in a state of fear all the time at the state of the world and bringing children into the world is because I try to fix my eyes just on Jesus himself and what he's called me to, and that this is what he desires for my life is to be a wife and a mother and give myself in this way. And when I live in anxiety, I feel like it's because I start looking at all of the expectations that the world has for me, all of the expectations
which are
of the world.
Mixed, and you couldn't
it's
possibly
endless.
Meet
never
everyone's expectations of what they want you to be.
And we live in a world, especially for young people, for young women and young moms, we live in a world that in our culture is just founded upon technology and social media so much we don't even realize. I think the best thing I did for myself as a young mom was deleting my Instagram. I'm not even kidding. Like it changed my life to delete my social media, and it took a long time for me to get to that place. But I just think that a lot of the fear and insecurity and anxiety that people live in the world, especially young women, young moms, is caused by the expectations that are set for us from other people on social media. Yeah. And so I don't know. I just feel like when I deleted my Instagram this year, it was like the greatest freedom. I feel like I've become more fully myself, actually.
Wow.
By deleting my social media. I'm still on Facebook for, honestly, Facebook Marketplace purposes. But Instagram just like totally ruined my maternal instinct and my discernment as a mom.
Yeah.
And it made me live in a lot of fear. And then deleting it, I just feel like there's greater freedom in my heart.
Love it.
Trust of God, a need for prayer and discernment in my life as a mom and how I'm going to parent. And greater joy because then I'm not comparing myself and feeling like I'm constantly not the mom I want to be because I'm looking at all these other moms who are better than me on Instagram. You know what I mean?
Which they're not.
So yeah, it's a whole thing.
Wow.
But I love being a mom. It's the best thing I've ever done in my whole life, even though it's really hard.
It's really, but most things, worth doing are hard. Okay. We have like 2 minutes left, Reagan.
Oh my gosh.
Like advice. Do you have like advice for, so like a young woman maybe in college, high school, college, they feel called to the vocation of marriage.
Yeah.
What should they do?
I actually, part of the talk I gave on motherhood was on being aware of how social media is affecting your life and how toxic it is for your life, and it probably is. And so that was one piece of advice I gave to young women a couple weeks ago, was just like examining what is taking me away from prayer, from the heart of God.
Yeah, and are you having your eyes fixed on Jesus?
On Jesus, yeah. And then, I don't know, I think allowing, building a life of prayer before you enter into your vocation, building a life that's just founded upon God.
Okay, you haven't met anyone.
Right, right.
Okay, big deal.
Yeah.
But where are you? Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you? Building virtue in your own life? Yeah.
Right. And I think becoming a mom, it was like I went from having a structured time of prayer every day to then just all of a sudden it became really hard. And I think when you have the flexibility and the availability in your life to just have time for personal prayer, to build the habit of just choosing prayer over other things in your life that are more fun and more exciting, so that you can grow in your relationship with God. He's the source of our life, and that will carry into motherhood when it actually gets really hard, and then everything is, all the flexibility and the freedom or the structure is kind of stripped from you, and you have to really choose whether you're going to pray or not, or choose whether you're going to read a spiritual book or watch YouTube. Or there's just so many real life daily small choices that it starts when you're way before you're in vocation.
It starts when you delete your Instagram.
It does.
Life starts at the end. Reagan, thank you for joining the Pastors of Pain. That's
Thank you
good stuff.
so
We're
much
going to call
for
this
having
episode
me.
For the Moms. For the moms. Shout out to all of you. Bring
Thanks for
your
having me.
kids to church.
Please.
We like it.
Yes.
We like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so our prayers are with you, Reagan. Having a baby
Thank
here
you.
soon. And her husband Clayton
Thank
and
you.
little Joseph. Awesome. All right, Father Brian O'Brien here. Father Carey will be back next week. Have a great week. God bless.